When you have an AED unit and you set it up, you do need to keep an eye to make sure that it's working properly. Now, there's different ways you can do this, and your workplace policies will vary on how you need to check it. But generally speaking, you want to make sure that the unit's working. So it may well be that every week, every month, your policy would say the unit just needs to be checked over. The initial checks are going to be quite straightforward. Most AED units will have a flashing light on the top, which will just indicate that the unit is functioning correctly. The other thing that can happen is the unit itself will emit a sound if there's any problems. So like the batteries on your smoke alarm, when they start running out, it'll be a beeping noise. So if someone reports that the unit is beeping, that may be a problem. Sorts of problems that it's detecting can be things like the batteries are low, or there's an internal problem with the unit. Just because this unit's sitting on the wall doesn't mean that's all it's doing, it's just ready for use. It does go through self-tests every now and again. So if it detects any problems, then it will identify those to you. So you'll check the unit initially just visually, have a look through it, make sure it's all okay. The other thing is open the unit up and make sure everything's there. So with this unit here, if you open up the cover at the back, make sure that inside are the spare pads, or in this case we've got pediatric pads in here as spares. Make sure the instruction leaflets are still there. So if you have one of these in the workplace, it's a good idea to have the unit's list of what's actually there in the folder with all the information. And just turn it over and just double check that the pads are in place and no one's messed around with them, and the seals haven't been broken. Check the expiry date. This is the sort of thing you might not necessarily need to check every week, but it's a good practice to always have a look at it. If you're looking for any damage to the unit at all, you can also just unclip the pads and just check them and make sure there's nothing wrong. Then just slide those back in place. Final thing you're looking at is physical damage, but not necessarily just damage to the unit. You might think with scratches or things like that. Also, is there any humidity? Maybe just run your finger across the front and see if there's any moisture on it. It may be that where this AED unit's being stored, there's a build-up of humidity or a lot of dust. If you are getting that, you need to consider the sorts of wall brackets and casing that you're putting the unit in. There are cases you can put AED units in which have heaters in, so they can keep the AED at a set temperature if you think humidity and problems like that could occur. So if you did detect anything like excessive amounts of dust on or inside the unit or humidity, you need to look at how the unit's being stored. Once you've finished, take the unit and just pop it back in. With this one, just make sure that that tab is pushed through so that the tab is ready to be pulled out. Just line it up back into the box, close it off, and then take the AED unit and return it back on the wall where you found it. The last thing we need to do here is just to make sure the unit is functioning okay and will turn on. All we do is push the start button and just check it's going through the initial analysing cycle.
Adult patient, call for medical assistance. Remove clothing from patient's...
Once it's done that initial and you've seen that the lights are functioning, because you notice all the lights flashing on the unit, and it's saying the correct voice prompts, then we know this unit is ready to use.